Welcome back to this episode of Bitch is a Bad Word. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm one mom with 4 kids and 0 fancy letters behind my name. I bring on all the experts to help us unpack all of the BS as we're dealing and healing through domestic abuse, traumatic relationships, trauma, all the things. We are here. I got you. We're figuring it out together. And I'm so incredibly grateful to you for joining us on this journey. Today, we have a new BFF joining us. She's a baddie. She has all the letters behind her name. She is trauma informed. She's a therapist. And she still managed to find herself in an abusive relationship. I highlight this because most of us are wondering, how did I get here? What is this? Like, how are we here? And it's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with you. It can happen to the best of us and to the most educated and to anyone who maybe even came from a healthy family dynamic. So I'm welcoming her. She is an amazing author and she's going to answer the question for us. Is this really love? Anna, welcome to this episode of Bitch is a Bad Words, Bitch Sesh. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Lindsay.
I love a good story time, and I think you have a really fascinating one to tell.
If that's what you say, it is one hell of a story. I have to say that.
Fascinating, mind-blowing, mind-fucking, all the things.
Yes.
So like all good stories start, I like to start at the beginning. These bitch sessions are so intimate and, you know, very vulnerable, very personable. So I always appreciate just taking the lead of our besties who how they want to share, where they want to start. So let's just get right into it.
Well, for me, it started when I was a kid. And I think that's where a lot of stories start. I grew up in Dubai, in the UAE, and I was an only child. My dad was an alcoholic, and he was quite violent when he was under the influence. And so as a result, I witnessed a lot of domestic violence. That was obviously towards my mom, and being the only child, I would be very scared and afraid. And I grew up to be this really quiet child as a result of being in that environment. So there were times in school where kids would be like, gosh, Anna, you're such a wall, like because you have no emotions. And I didn't even realize that, right? When you're a kid, you don't realize that, oh, you're an emotionless person or you're not expressing yourself. But these weird statements come to you, and then you realize, oh, wow, that's an awful thing to be told.
Mm-hmm.
And as I grew up, there was this longing for love and affection because my mom was so catered to my dad, and she was going through her own trauma. And so I was just there in the background, you know, taking care of myself and just becoming this very closed up person, but also this person who really craved and wanted love. And so really that's the base of my story, this growing up in an environment that was all about domestic violence and witnessing it and not being modeled what a healthy relationship was. I had no idea what that entailed, no idea what love was, or what the difference between love and abuse was, or any of that. And so I started getting into relationships, dated all the bad boys, and the bad boys were what I was attracted to and what was familiar to me, you know, having that uncertainty, having those highs and lows and ups and downs. And unfortunately, they hurt me in the end because that's what those kind of relationships do, because I was going along the dynamics that I was seeing with my mom and dad. And I was picking up on that, and I was going towards those kind of relationships.
Because the bad boys are so like the danger becomes them. And we have grown up in these insanely unpredictable, toxic environments. And you're like, oh, hey, cool. What's up, sanely unpredictable, toxic man? You fit right into my home space.
Exactly.
So bad boys, Anna and the bad boys, which is like, if you're only listening and not seeing her on the video, you're like, Anna does not look like she's with the bad boys. But hopefully you're done with the bad boys. But little Anna and the bad boys, sad.
Yeah. That was something. And that was just a start. Like, I think I thought that, as I got to these relationships, that I was going for better. And it's funny how eventually I did find somebody who fit that mold of the good guy, very charismatic, somebody that everybody admired and loved. And I was about 17, 18 at the time. And a couple of my friends were like, I was known at that point of being this absolute fuck all disaster. They were like, she's always dating these guys. She's always getting into trouble. She's always a hot mess. And I think this guy can help her out, talk to her and kind of like maybe even counsel her, because that was what he did. And I met him. He was very charismatic, very mysterious, but at the same time, something very different about him. And for the first couple of times that we met, well, he never really said much. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. But as soon as he started getting to know me, he started like talking to me, he started hearing me out, he wanted to know what was going on in my life, what were my struggles, what was going on at home. And for the first time, there was somebody who was listening to me and not invalidating me. And that caught my attention, because most of the times when I was a kid, and if I would ever talk about it, I didn't talk about it as much. People would always say, well, this happens. Like, our dads drink, our dads do this. And I would always be like, no, why aren't you getting what I'm saying? Like, I am not okay and things are not okay at home. And for the first time, there was somebody who was listening to me. And so I didn't realize that he was like picking up on all of this information that I was giving him. And a couple of weeks in, he said, you know that I like you, right? And I was like, oh, okay. And for the first time, I wasn't going in and saying, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's get into a relationship. For some reason, I was like, I don't know if I like this guy. I don't know if I'm attracted to him. And he was very, very, he was like really into it, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. So he was like, you know what? I've invested a lot of time and I've spent a lot of time with you. And it really is sad that you don't want to get into this relation. You don't want to give this a chance. And at that point, the Anna that I was, as you can imagine, this timid person, though she was always attracted to the bad boys, I couldn't say no. Saying no was a problem for me. And as much as, deep inside, I was like, I am not into this guy. There was a part of me that was feeling this immense guilt, because he did spend a lot of time with me at that point, more than a lot of people had spent with me. And finally, I gave into it, because he was saying things like, what's the point of me being around here? And if this is how you're treating me. And at that point, I mean, when I look at it now, I'm like, wow, that is quite manipulative and controlling. But back in the day, I never thought of it that way. I just felt guilt, outright guilt.
That's an interesting feeling. I just want to touch on that for a second, if you don't mind, because
of course.
the guilt part is so real. Because I'm hearing, I love to track the red flags during these conversations. And I'm like, okay, he wasn't listening to you like no one else has listened to you. Yes, actually, he is listening to you like a narcissist listens to you by taking inventory. So I'm already feeling the setup. Like he's taking inventory of you, but you feel like you're on the other side going, oh my God, no one's listened to me so well for so long, where these like, this is amazing. And then your intuition is probably screaming at you like, and then we ignore that. And then the guilt is like, well, I didn't say no to the bad guys. So why am I saying no to the guy that seems like he gives a shit?
Yeah.
And that like weird tug and pull, whatever that goes on internally. I feel you. I don't know how to describe it because other than like, as you're telling me this, I'm like, I can feel you sitting there. I can feel the guy. He's like putting it all in his narc fault. I can't wait to hear what's next. But that guilt, thank you for saying that, because that is like, if you could go back to that point and like, fuck the guilt, you wouldn't be there would be no more story to tell.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, whatever trauma and, and going to the point of like, I don't want to disappoint someone who's giving me attention. I don't know how to say no. I've never been taught. Like if you grew up in a household that's all crazy, you're never taught like basic, like moral structure of you're just sort of there fending for yourself. And so there's a lot of times like, I don't really know what I'm meant to do next except for say yes.
Exactly.
So, okay. Thank you for talking about the guilt. Cause that is a huge thing for anyone listening right now. The guilt is so powerful, but we're confusing guilt for liking someone or love, or like, I don't want to upset him. So let me just see how this goes. He has given me all this attention. He's right. Shit.
Yeah.
And he's not a bad guy yet.
Yeah. Yet.
Hey, baddie. We are building the biggest, baddest bestie gang, and it's popping off on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/bitch is a bad word. We have free tiers, paid tiers. We even shed some real tiers. The paid for tiers get you ad-free listening, BTS, merch drops, merch discounts, all the things. But the free tier is absolute money too. We also have a private Discord server where you can feel safe to share your story and meet a new bestie because we vet every single member. That's right. You need to show your ID to get up in this club. Visit patreon.com/bitch is a bad word. I can't wait to hang out with you there.
So that was that. And, we were suddenly dating, and he started in what we call today love bombing me. And, just taking me out to these dinners, cooking for me, taking me out shopping. He was with me pretty much all the time. He picked me up from university. He came over for lunch. When he went somewhere, he took me with him. So it was like he was pretty much with me most of the day. And if he wasn't with me, he was on the phone with me. And this was absolutely breaking news for me because I was just like, what is happening here? Like, why am I getting all of this attention all of a sudden? And I wasn't thinking of it in a suspicious way, but more like, oh my God, this is new. This is crazy. Like, who is this guy?
This must be what everybody's talking about. This is healthy love. This is love.
Yep. And gradually, he started to tell me things like, Anna, you look so beautiful without makeup. Like, why do you have to wear makeup? Or, why don't we go shopping and like, I want you to, like, why don't you try on these kind of clothes? And they were like two sizes bigger than what I would wear. So he was trying to get me into that modest kind of dressing. If I wore heels, he'd be like, that's the stuff those kind of girls wear. I'm like, what do you mean those kind of girls?
Ladies of the night, Anna.
Yeah.
Sluts.
Yep.
Bad
Yep.
girls.
Yep. 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 And I was just like, I was like, wow, this is a bit weird. And all of a sudden I was just like, this is different. And because I'd never heard this kind of perspective before.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden he's like, the friends that you have, they're not a good influence. And it's probably why you've been getting into all of these bad relationships and you're in such a bad place. And your dad's an alcoholic. And I think you should spend less time at home because it's going to be impacting you. And in a way, at that point, it almost made sense because it's like, yeah, I am in an environment that is traumatic and I don't want to be here. And he is saying exactly the things that I am feeling and want to hear. And at that point, I'm not realizing that he's trying to pull me away from everybody that I know and isolate me from everybody so that I don't get that input and information. And I was slowly, even though it was upsetting me, I was just kind of like falling into his trap. I was just perfectly falling into his trap. And there were days now, all of a sudden, like I was starting to cry and I was starting to get upset and I was starting to like voice out. And I would see that side of him come up where he would start to get angry. And, at first I was like, oh, this is a fight that couples have. And all of a sudden I'm realizing that this isn't a fight because I'm never winning this fight. I am never ever having the last word. I'm not even having more than a couple of words before I'm shut down. And I'm pretty much always getting home in tears. And at that point, I'm just like, no, I don't know what's going on. I'm just messed up again. And guess what I think this time? I'm like, you know what? I guess I really am the problem. Because even with a good guy, this is what's happening. And yeah,
I
yeah,
feel it. Like I feel like I feel the tears. I feel the confusion. I feel the fights because the fights don't make any sense. Like healthy couples have fights, quote unquote, but there's like a resolve.
yeah,
Somebody's like wants to be heard and someone wants to feel validated and then you can like repair.
yeah,
These people fight. There's no repair. It's just digging further and further and scratching that wound, digging into that wound and then pouring salt in it and battery acid and all this shit. And you're like, I am just left with this weeping, gaping hole. And now I feel like I'm the problem.
yeah, exactly.
Jesus. You're going home. You're like, okay. So I would imagine at this point, you're like, this is what I deserve.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, because this person's giving me all of that attention, I just feel like, well, I should listen to him because he is the good guy and he is giving me the attention and this is different. And therefore, there must be something wrong with me. And all of a sudden, this weird shit starts happening where I start getting these weird emails from unknown senders and telling me what a bad person I was or character assassinating me and saying things like, you know what, you are such a lucky girl to be going out with this guy. And I was just like, first of all, how does this person have my email? And who is this person? And he'd come in like the hero and he'd be like, I'll take care of it. I'll find out who it is. And don't worry about it. And I would be like, okay. And I'd be thinking about it in the background, but at the same time, he'd come through in such a way that he'd make me try to like, it's not a big deal. Shit happens. And it's funny, right? Like when I'm telling you this right now, I'm like, Anna, like, what were you thinking and how dumb were you? But, but I mean, that's
No,
me right now.
I've been where you are right now. Like, what the fuck, Linz? Jesus Christ, you're smarter than this. But it's not that. It's not
Yeah.
it's an emotional intelligence that we were never taught.
Yeah.
I kind of default to that. Like, you know, and I always say this to anybody listening and anybody feeling that way. It's, you would never do this to somebody.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense because it shouldn't make sense. We don't operate on a level of just innate master manipulation and evilness. I feel like whatever you're about to tell me next, I think is going to blow my fucking mind because I'm constantly thinking I've heard it all, and then I hear the next thing. So it's not a dumb Anna thing, a dumb Lindsay thing. We believe that. We believe that to be true. And and in their worst moments, they'll tell you, oh, you're so stupid. You're this, you're that, you're whatever. But
Yeah.
when you look at back, you're like, what the fuck? How? But that's what we're trying to deep dive. We're trying to figure out the how, why, and what. But anyway, okay. So these emails coming from this mysterious person.
Yeah. These emails coming from this mysterious person. And once I started like going to him and being like, you know what, is it you who's sending me these emails? He would get really upset and was like, how could you think that it's me? And he put on this huge show and show how upset he was because I didn't trust him or that I believed that he would do such a thing. And gradually, as the relationship like sort of progressed, if I wanted to go on a trip with my family, at some point he'd be like, no, I don't think you should go. Or there was this one trip where he actually at some point joined me and my family on the trip. And he just said, well, I just want to come with you and see where, you know, where your family's from and just spend a couple of days with you. And I was like, okay. And then he comes on the trip. And then a couple of days before he's about to leave, he's like, I think you should come back with me. Like, why not? Like, you're my girlfriend and I think you should come back with me. And I was like, no, I that's not possible. I'm going to come back with my family. And somehow at the end, I ended up going back with him. And my parents were so upset. My mom, I remember that was the one time that she said to me, you know, please don't make the same mistake I made, because she could see what was happening. But I wasn't listening to her because I was like, you know what? Well, you're in it as well. So I don't see why this is a problem. Are you trying to kind of come in the way of my happiness? Like, my mind wasn't thinking straight. It was utterly confused because I couldn't understand why a person who was in an abusive relationship was trying to save me and not herself.
Did you know at the time though that it was that your mom was in an abusive relationship? Had you identified that as domestic abuse?
I hadn't identified it as domestic abuse, but I knew that it was hurting me. I knew that I was unhappy. I knew that I felt unsafe, at least at that point. Mm-hmm. But I just couldn't understand why she wouldn't leave.
Okay.
And she wouldn't get me out of it. And I think that was something that came about when I was in my teens. And that's when I started to think that way. And so that's why when she started to come in the way of the relationship where she was trying to protect me,
right,
to me, it just seemed absurd. Mm-hmm. And it almost felt as if, oh, you want me to stay with you so that I can be the child that keeps parentifying you, and you don't want me to go because if I'm gone, then you don't have someone to fall back on. And that's the way I was thinking about it, because all of those years, that's what I was. Like, when she was going through it, she would fall back on me. She would call out my name to come save her in those moments. And that's kind of just what came into my mind, that, oh,
Yeah.
You don't want me gone. You want me to be stuck with you.
Meanwhile, she's like, Anna, no. Like, please,
Yep.
please.
Yep.
I
Yep.
had it too. I had everyone telling me, what are you doing? And I'm like, you
Yeah.
don't know. What are you doing?
Even I don't know.
Yeah, I don't fucking know either, but it sounds good. Why do you care? Like,
Yeah.
mind your
Yeah.
own business. You don't know what he's like.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I can totally relate and totally feel what you're like. It didn't make, yeah. Okay. So she's getting in the way of your happiness because she's unhappy. So you could so these are the moments, the nuances that are so easily validated. Like you can validate it in your mind. You're like,
Yeah.
look at you, look at your life. You don't want me to be happy because this
Yep.
guy's fucking amazing. She's like,
Yeah.
no, I know who he turns into.
Yep. Exactly. So fast forward a little bit, he ends up telling me that we need to get married. So it's not the proposal. It's not, do you want to marry me? It's not, will you marry me? It's like, we need to get married because, well, my parents are, I'm at that age where, I'm supposed to be married. And if we don't get married, he came from this culture and background where if he didn't get married at that point, then his family would choose somebody that he would get married to. So it would be sort of like an arranged marriage. And again, that guilt set in. And I was like, oh, if I don't marry this guy, I'm going to ruin his life because he's going to end up marrying somebody he doesn't even know. And he said, well, why don't my family just come over to your house and just, meet your parents? I was like, okay, that couldn't be that bad. And they come over and it ends up being a conversation about when the wedding should be.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I thought that he was convincing, his dad was 10 times more convincing and manipulative. And so he comes into the house and he's just like, bam, 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 bam. Well, I think like they've been together for a while and they should get like, I'm thinking that the wedding should be in like a couple of months. And I was just sitting there stunned, and my dad was sitting there stunned. And that was the first time I saw my dad go into the bedroom and start crying because I think he understood that I think I'm going to lose my daughter and I don't think I can stop her. And I think I'm going to lose her because of my own problems. And that is his alcoholism. That was his drinking. And I was stuck. I was frozen. And I didn't say a word. I didn't fight back. I just went with the flow. And as you imagine, because of that fear, because of that confusion, I was sitting and I was like, which hell do I choose? Do I stick in this situation with an alcoholic dad, watch him abuse my mom when he's under the influence? Or do I go with this guy who's seemingly good, who at least gives me the attention and showers me with gifts and wants to be around me, but has this anger problem, courtesy of me not being the good girl? Which one do I choose? And then I ended up choosing him. And so at 19, I got married. At 19, I got married to this guy. Yeah.
Okay, 19 and
Absolutely.
married.
Yeah. 19, married. As soon as we got married, things just sort of turned 180 degrees and he started neglecting me. We lived with his family, so he was the guy he was a pampered kid, I guess. His dad had a business. He didn't have his own job, and we lived with his family, and he just started doing his own thing. And I was there just trying to get accustomed to this culture, to this home, to his family, to his lifestyle. And I was struggling so much, but he really didn't give a fuck. And, sometimes I'd go see and he's like sitting down with the PlayStation or the Xbox and, with his guy friends. And I'm just like, what is going on? And the one thing that I would keep doing was I'd go to my cupboard and I just keep folding my clothes because that was my coping mechanism. That I would just be like, my life feels out of control. I don't know what to do. Let me just go and fold my clothes. It was this weird thing that I do. And one day, as I was kind of, organizing the cupboard, he comes into the room and I was taking something out of the cabinet on top, and I didn't have anything to keep this mobile charger on because like I was literally standing on a chair. And so I just fling it back onto the bed, but it falls or it kind of hits his face. And he gets mad at me. And that was the first time he comes to me and he slaps me right across the face. Because he's like, how dare you do that? Like, why did you throw that at my face? And I was like, I didn't throw that at your face. Like, it was supposed to get on bed, but it just hit your face.
Oh my God.
And that was a turning point for me. I was like, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into? And immediately I was like, I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this. And I started to tell my mom. My mom was at that point, she was really mad at me. And she was like, you know what? You got into this. Now you've got married. You've got to stick through this. You've got to work it out. Couples have problems. And I warned you, and you still decided to marry him. So you've got to work this out. And eventually I went and told one of my friends. And I was like, you know what? I really want to go back home. And this friend ended up telling her boyfriend, and that guy called up my ex-husband now and told him. And
The flying monkey.
Yep. Oh yeah. And as soon as that phone he hung up, my life was living hell. Because he smashed my phone. He smashed my phone on the wall. He was like, how dare you tell people that you want to end this marriage? Like, what do you want to do to my reputation? What are people going to think that I got married and then my wife wants to divorce me in a couple of months? There is no way in hell that I'm ever going to give you a divorce and you're never going to have a phone again. So like things just escalated monumentally after that point. And that night was the first time he physically abused me as well. And, he was threatening me and telling me things. And then as soon as the doorbell rang, I remember him stopping and telling me, you know what? Stop crying, act normal. I want you to go to the kitchen and I want you to get a glass of water and come back to the room and give it to me. Because he wanted it to seem as if it was a perfectly normal day and I was doing these wifely duties. And I was at that point, Lindsay, where I couldn't scream. Like there was nothing coming out of my mouth. I was just crying, but I couldn't, there was nothing else I was not able to vocalize. And I just did as he said. Mm-hmm. And I slept. And I think when I was going to sleep, that's when my body felt a little safe. And I started to kind of vocalize in these muffled voices and as I'm crying. And the next morning he's like, you know what? If you didn't do that, this wouldn't have happened. This is a typical thing an abuser says, right? Mm-hmm. Where they blame shift, or they say that they're trying to appear as if they're saying they're sorry, but it's never really an apology because they're saying that because you did this, I abused you.
Yeah.
And of course, As much as I was upset, as much as I was terrified, there was also a part of me where that voice was so loud that I believed him. And, but as much as I believed him, I was also at this place where I was like, I am scared. I am scared. I am so scared. I don't know what's going to happen next. And as you can imagine, it just kept escalating and escalating. Lots of verbal abuse, lots of physical abuse. And at some point, he started telling people, you know what, my wife's sleeping around with these guys. She's not a good person. She's trying to end this marriage, blah, blah, blah. And what's funny is that he ended up getting into a relationship with a minor. And people were like watching this, and he completely spun the story into saying that, you know what, this girl was vulnerable because she lost her mom to cancer. And there was a single dad who was raising her. And so it almost seemed like the perfect setup where it's like, oh, you know what, considering what he does and he's taking care of these young people, it makes sense that she's always around. So it was just the perfect setup. But behind the scenes, he was starting to groom her. He was starting to take advantage of her. And at first, I didn't see it. But eventually, I was the only one who was seeing it, because obviously the things that he needed to do were behind closed doors where other people couldn't see. So he'd take her on these drives. She'd suddenly always be around. Wherever we went, she was there. And it almost seemed to people like we were mentoring this girl, or we were sort of, supporting this girl who needed our help.
Like
but
culty.
Meanwhile, yep, absolutely. And as he was doing this, he was also using her to spy on me. So he would tell her, you know what? He gave her the sob story. My wife is this, this, and this. You need to keep an eye on her. If she calls somebody, if she does anything out of the ordinary, you need to tell me. And the age that she was, she did exactly what he asked her to. And this went on for a couple of years. At some point, I think it was 2010. This was about 4 years into the marriage. It was still happening. It was still progressing. At some point,
4 years, guys. That's a long fucking time. That's what people don't understand too. When we tell these stories, and they're like, okay, well, I would be all of this happening in a week, I would be out. You're like, but this is how it happens, and it's over days and days and days and years and years and years.
Yeah.
You're a different person. You're rewired.
Absolutely. You're rewired. You've lost hope because people don't want to help you. People don't want to believe you, because somehow what you're saying is it's so much easier to believe that he is not abusing you rather than believing that he is abusing you, right? They just want to pick the convenient truth, and they just want to run with it and be like, you know what? She's bullshitting. She's provoking him. She's just doing something. And we don't want to get ourselves involved, because we just don't want to get ourselves involved. This is messy shit. And people just turned a blind eye or didn't want to get involved. And so I was stuck in that. And so my mom wasn't willing to help me. The people around me weren't willing to help me. If there was somebody who was willing to help me, they didn't know how to deal with domestic violence. And they treated it as if it was a normal marital issue. And so there was this one time this person went to him and said, I heard you're abusing your wife. And my heart just came into my mouth, because I was like, what the fuck are you thinking? And I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like trying to act as if I don't know anything. And so as soon as he does it, obviously he defends himself. But when I get home, I am the person who is being abused twice as much, because now he finds out that I am telling people, that I'm speaking up, that I'm opening up. And it reached a point where he was like forcing me to send emails to people who he found out I had confided in and tell them that I lied and tell them that I was lying all of this time and he's a great guy. He would do all these sorts of things. And there was this point where, and I know this it's a sensitive topic, but it's important to talk about. And that is this point where he tried to trap me. Like his final way of trapping me was trying to impregnate me. So he was like forced himself upon me and telling me that, you know what, I'm going to get you pregnant and then you're going to have a baby and then you're never going to get out of this marriage. And this happened a couple of times in those years. And that is what I'd say broke me the most. That was the most terrifying thing. That was a thing that used to scare me more than anything, more than the physical. That was what I could not take. I could not bear. Mm-mm. To my good fortune, I never got pregnant. And I am so damn lucky that I didn't. But that was his way of punishing me. He knew it. He knew that more than anything, more than the physical, the verbal, that was what really got to me. And he played on that. 2012 was the turning point. And the turning point, what I mean to say is that was the point where I thought, this is it. I'm going to die here. I'm going to die in this marriage because there's no way out. It's been 6 years. Nothing's happened. I've tried. I've talked to people. I've attempted. I've got caught. People have abandoned me. People have let me down. My own family is not willing to help me. My dad is not in a position to help me because he's struggling and with his own drinking problems. This is it. And what happens is this domestic violence survivor suddenly comes into the picture and shares her story one day. This stranger turned friend comes in and shares her story. And my eyes light up and I'm like, okay, this is the last time that I am going to share this story with somebody. And if she gets it, she gets it. If she doesn't, whatever. And I tell her, and she believes me, and she understands me. And she's like, Anna, I get it. I get it that if you don't leave, either he is going to kill you or you are going to kill yourself. And I was like, yes. I said, I've already tried the latter and I'm still here. And it has reached that point where he has threatened me a couple of times where he said, you know, if you ever try to leave me, I'm going to find you and I'm going to hurt you. And you know me and you know my dad, we're going to cover it up. And he was so confident when he'd say that.
Sure.
Yeah. And I said to her, thank you for believing me. And we were like, well, okay, so how the hell am I going to get out of this though? You know, I mean, great. Somebody finally believes me. One, I didn't have my passport with me. It was under lock and key. It was kept in his dad's study, was locked. I didn't have a bank account because he didn't allow me to work. I didn't have health insurance. I didn't even have the key to the apartment. I didn't even have much money. And I always tell people that over the 6 years that I was with him, there were times where people would gift me like some money for my birthday, some random cash that I would get, and I would hide it under the bed. And over those 6 years, I think it amounted to about, I'm trying to think in dollars, probably around $2,500 or $2,000. And I took that money and I gave it to that friend and I said, well, this is the money I have. I don't know what the plan is, but this is it. Whatever I need to do, whatever the next steps are, we can utilize this money. And so the first thing was, do we go to the cops? And as I said, I lived in Dubai and I still live in Dubai, but I'm an expat. Like, I was born here, but I'm not originally from here. And so I didn't trust the laws. I didn't know what my rights were. I was like, what if I go to the cops and they send me back home? What if they don't believe me because I'm a woman? What if he comes into the station and says, you know what? This isn't a lying, adulterous bitch. And he would say shit to people like, you know what? The scars that you saw on her body, she's inflicted them on herself.
Oh my God.
You know? And they were like, you know what? Yeah, she could have done that.
That's the thing I want. I love that. I don't love that happened. I'm not saying I love that. I love that you're sharing this, that the smear campaign happened long before you were ever aware.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea what they're saying behind your back, and you better believe that it's fucking evil and lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that when those little things happen, or the bruises or this, or, you know, oh, she drinks. Oh, she was drunk when she's crazy. Look at her mom. Look at, you know, she's unstable. She's unwell. She put those marks on her body. And it's easy to be like, well, I guess it's possible.
Yeah.
For two reasons.
Exactly.
People don't want to get in other people's shit. You don't want to be mixed up in someone else's marriage. You're taught that, like, you can't do that. And then if there's just a shadow of doubt, you're like, well, I guess it's possible.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, look at her. Look at what she, I mean, I guess that's what's so fucked up. And that's why this can hide in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly,
so and I believe you on the station. I don't know about Dubai, but I've been there one time and I was like, oh, this is not a place you want to get in trouble as a woman.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
You're in Dubai. You're in the PlayStation. Not the PlayStation. He's in the
I wanted to go to the police station, but I didn't end up going. My ex-husband was definitely playing the PlayStation. So police station was out of the question.
Yeah.
At that point, we didn't know if there were any shelters that were available. Today, we do have a shelter here in Dubai, but at that point, I didn't know of it. The next option was to get out of the country. But like I said, I didn't have my passport. And my friend just started emailing these nonprofits in India, which is where I am originally from. And there was one nonprofit out of a bunch that responded and said, well, if Anna can make her way here, then we can help her out. And she was like, great. Well, this is a glimmer of hope. And I'm like, great. But we're going to have to wait until I get my passport. And that doesn't sound like it's going to happen anytime soon, because in these 6 years, I've never been sitting with my passport. And one fine day, my ex-husband's dad comes to me and says, well, you know, we have a conference to go to in the States and we need to get you a visa. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, you're the only one who doesn't have a visa. And so I fill out the application form, I get my interview on, and my ex-husband does this funny thing where he's like, I don't think he wanted me to go with him because he didn't give me any financial documentation, nothing. He just gave me his passport and he's like, when you go to the counter, just tell the lady there that your husband has a visa and I think it should be fine. And in my head, I'm like, do you think I'm stupid? Yeah. But I'm just like, just do whatever he says.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's no point arguing. So I went and the lady was so pissed. She was like, she said something to me. She told me off. She's like, if you think that, you know, your husband's visa is enough for you to get to the States, like, why are you even here? And she just like stamped on the paper. She said rejected. And she's like, you can apply again if you want to. Like, she almost looked at me with so much of disgust. And like, she was like, stupid bitch is here. Like, what is she thinking? And I'm like, you know what? I don't blame her.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't blame her. And I went down and I'm like, yeah, it didn't come through. They rejected it. And he was like, oh, really? He wasn't even that upset. He was just, looked like, oh, okay, I guess, it didn't work out. And we go home and his dad's pissed. And he's like, what were you thinking, not taking any financial documentation? And he's like, reapply. And I'm like, okay. And this time my mind started working differently. As you can imagine, 6 years with an abuser, I learned the game. And I learned the survival tactics and the techniques. I picked up on a lot. And instead of picking the nearest date, I picked a date 2 weeks later. And I didn't tell them because they didn't give a shit. So I was like, yeah, I got the date. The next date available is 2 weeks later. And they're like, okay. And I just kept the passport with me and I didn't say anything. And they didn't even think to ask me for it. And I tell my friend, I'm like, I have my passport. This is it. And I said, I am shit scared. I don't know what to do. I need you to help me plan this out logistically. But I'm going to give you my important documents, a couple of clothes, and that's all. I don't think I can do much. And so what I do sometimes is I put my clothes into a bag, and we used to stay in this high rise, and I'd go to the stairway and I'd put it in a bag and just drop it there. And then, someone would come and take the bag. Like that's how I was transferring things. And then finally she says, okay, I've booked your flight and it's on a Friday and it's on the day that Friday used to be a holiday in Dubai. Now it's Saturday, but it used to be Friday. And Friday is when we used to go to church. And so she's like, this is when I've booked the flight and this is what you're going to do. And you're going to go there and the nonprofit's going to help you out. And I was like, I'm like, okay. And I'm shaking and I'm scared, but I'm like, I'm going to do this. And come Friday, she's like, pretend that you're not feeling well. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, that way you can leave to the airport from the house. Just take your passport. And I'm like, okay. And I try to tell my ex-husband, I'm like, I'm not feeling well, like fake it and everything. He's like, no, you have to come to church. Like, because there was no way that he's going to leave me home. And that's not something he usually does. So I'm like, no, I have to go. And she's like, fine, I guess we'll have to leave from the church. But I'm like, this is going to get harder now because he's going to be standing next to me in church. Right. And so I go to church and I'm there. I'm scared. I'm so scared. And I have my passport in my pocket. And at some point, I'm like, I'm going to pretend I'm going to the bathroom. And I'm looking around and I'm trying to see where he is. And he's not there. And I'm scared. I'm like, where is this guy? Like, I need to go out. What if I go out and I bump into him and then I'm screwed?
Wait, so you don't go into church together and stand next to each other?
Yeah, we do. That's exactly what we do. But at some point, we go in and then he's suddenly gone. And I don't know where he's gone, whether he's gone to the bathroom. Where is he gone?
Oh, shit.
And he's suddenly gone for 5-10 minutes. And I'm just like, what do I do? Do I go? Do I wait? And I'm like, time is running out. And I'm like, just go. If you see him, you pretend you're going to the bathroom and you go to the bathroom. And if you don't see him, you go out the back door like you planned.
Oh my God.
I go out.
Nervous.
I go out. I look to my left. I look to my right. He's not there. I go out the back. I run. And my friend's there with the car. And I get into the car and I'm shaking and I'm screaming and I'm just like,
oh my God.
I don't know what I'm doing. And they drive me, my ticket's there, there's a backpack and everything. And I give my phone to this friend and I'm like, because I didn't want to take my phone because I'm like, I don't know if he's going to track down where I am. Mm-hmm. I reach the airport, I check in, I'm keep looking behind. I'm like, you know what? He's going to come. He's going to come. He's going to come. Mm-hmm. And I reach the immigration, I pass immigration, I get to the boarding gate, and then suddenly there's like the flight is delayed.
Oh my God, I would die. I
Yeah.
would be dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
yes.
pretty dead inside.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is the end. That there's
Yeah.
no way he's coming. Like I know this man, he is capable of coming and getting me. And for some reason, he didn't come and I got on that flight
Yes.
and I escaped
Yes.
and I got out and I'm here today.
Hell yes. Anna, you're a fucking baddie. Look at you. Oh my God. I love this so much. I'm like, oh my God, wait, did her passport drop? I mean, like, I am literally like, wait, the fuck. Oh my God. I love it. You fucking did it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Okay. So then you're going to India. Like, you don't know what the fuck is happening on the other side there too.
Yep. I don't know.
But it's better than where you were. You know that. You know that the chances of it being better are at least 1%.
Yes. And I always said that. And I always thought that I'm like, you know what? Even if I have to be on the side of the road and be sleeping on a footbath, I would choose that over being with this man. Yes. Like anything at that point seemed better than living through that hell. Like I had reached this point where I was thinking that way, that anything else, I was like, I don't need anything. I don't need my valuables. I don't need my clothes. I don't need my laptop. Like I don't need anything. I just want to get the fuck out of here because I've had it. Because I just don't want to live if I'm in this anymore.
Oh God. And that's how it feels. It's like nothing else matters. Nothing. All the bags, all the clothes, fuck it. It's bullshit. Yep.
It is.
And it doesn't matter unless you can use it to like sell it to pay for your life or something. That's
course.
what I did.
Of course.
But it does, no. Like you got on, you're like, here's some clothes. Again, it doesn't matter. You're dead inside. As you said, life as you know it is not life, you know? And I say this, like, you can do the hard things. If you're listening right now and you're feeling the way Anna felt, you can do it. You need to get to the other side safely, but you need to stay in that grit and that grind, knowing that you can fucking do it. It does. And because I felt the way Anna felt, Anna's like sharing it with us as well. And there is hope. It's like the hope is like so tiny and like a little bit like, but it's there.
Absolutely.
So you're in India, you're like free, but sad, I'm sure, and confused. And like, did you ever want to go back? Did you ever think like I should give him a call? Oh God, did you have that?
No, I didn't want to go back. That's all I knew, that I didn't want to go back. I was scared. I was crying a lot because I had never been to that city before. I didn't know anybody there except,
and oh my God, wait, your family didn't know you left?
No.
Shit, so no one knows except for this baddie that helped you.
Exactly. Oh, so everyone was stunned. Everyone was shocked. While I've landed in India, that's when they get to the police station, and that's when they realize that I've left the country. And, you know, there were texts on my phone, which my friend had, and he was like, where the fuck are you? And, you know, I'm searching for you, and you're not in the bathroom, and you're not here. Your freedom is fucking gone. And I actually have a screenshot of that. And it's still with me. And I'm so glad that I have it. And I'm just like, wow, like this man was scared shitless. And then he ended up telling everybody that I went on holiday because he refused to accept the defeat that I had left.
That you had won. You finally won.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
You could say that. Yeah.
So how long were you in India?
I was there for about 3.5 years. I ended up working with the nonprofit. Oh my gosh, when I ended up being there, that's when, of course, all of the traumas that it's surfacing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now the abuse was over and I had no time to process any of that abuse when I was in it because I was so busy surviving that once I got there, the freedom didn't feel free, if I'm being honest. It
Mm-hmm.
felt terrifying because suddenly it's almost as if, you're in prison or you're in this really, like really you've been put in prison with no sunlight, with nothing, and then suddenly somebody takes you out in the bright world and they're like, here, go. And you're like, no, this is scary. Like,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, the lights are too bright.
Yeah.
Secondly, I don't know where I'm supposed to go, like left or right. Who are these people? Are they safe? How am I supposed to do this? Like, I didn't even know how to like open a bank account because I didn't have one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And had to start doing all those things by myself, figuring it out. And I would get so overwhelmed by just doing the normal things that people were doing at that
Yeah.
point and at
That
that
is so
age.
real. So real.
Yeah.
Opening a fucking bank account, by the way, in this day and age, like we should be able to do that. And I
Yeah.
feel you. I went to a bank as like a 40-year-old,
Yeah.
40 something. I couldn't
Yeah.
get a bank account. I mean, I'd had bank accounts back in the day before I was a kept woman.
Yeah.
And when I was unkeeping myself, I was like, please, can I have a bank account? And they're like, well, like, show me your credit. Like, why would you?
Yeah.
I had to like go to multiple banks and then go to a credit union and then like share my story and please, can you help me? And I like, that is so fucked up. That
Mm-hmm.
is such abuse. Financial abuse is real. And that fact that you
Yes.
can't do it, it's like, it doesn't make sense to the average person. Like, what do you mean? Go get a bank account. What do you
Yeah.
mean? Go get this. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to go get those things.
Yeah.
And they're not available for me to get either because I've not been getting them for all this time. So now I'm like, I'm a 40-year-old with I'm nobody. I have no historical like background of anywhere. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
hi,
Yeah.
can I have a bank account and a credit card? No. Oh, okay. Shit. What am I going to do?
I hear you.
But
It's taking me back to those times.
you're going, well, okay. So what do we do
Yeah.
now? Can I have an apartment? No. Can I have, oh, shit. I mean, the barrier to leave is so insane. And I don't mean to laugh at it. Like, it's just, you got to get through it and you're going to get there and
Yeah.
it's going to be hard, but
Yeah.
there are ways to get it done and you got it done. So you're there for 3 years. You're working for the nonprofit. I love that part of the story too. And then you're back in Dubai. How are you?
I'm back in Dubai.
Are you not scared or like, how did you end up going back?
I think I really have to thank the nonprofit because they really empowered me. And it's what I want to say here is that it is so funny how strangers are the ones who believe you and help you and are the kindest to you more than the people you know.
Mm-hmm.
And to tell you the truth, I don't think they even knew my story in depth. They never asked for an account of my story. They just knew that Anna is a domestic violence victim. She needs help. And the fact that I made it from, I fled the country and I came all the way there, that was enough for them to be like, you know what? This girl is brave and she's gone through shit and we're going to help her.
Yeah.
And I think the kind of kindness and generosity they showed me, I don't think I've ever known it, besides, of course, the person and the friend who ended up helping me. But that was so empowering to be helped by them. They gave me a lawyer pro bono. They let me work at the nonprofit. I ended up running my own department. At the end of it, my own communications department. Yes. And it was so empowering because the work they were doing was for domestic violence victims, for abandoned women, widows, for displaced, women and kids. And like, it was kind of full circle where it's like, you know what, these people have helped me. And now I'm sitting with this passion and this feeling of knowing what it's like to go through that shit. And now I get to help other people. And that was just so fucking amazing. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity because it gave me that space to be like, you know what, Anna, you can breathe here and you can sort of channel that pain into purpose. And they started empowering me to share my story. And would you believe it? This is something to laugh about while we're tearing
While
up
we're
here.
crying.
Is the first interview that they made me do was on BBC. It was a radio show and it was BBC. And Lindsay, today I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you so confidently and I've come such a long way. But at that time I was like this little mouse and I'm like, and I can remember the founder of the organization is like, raise your voice a little bit and talk louder. And I'm just like, yes, I don't know what to say. I'm forgetting my words. Like, I don't know why am I here? Like, how did it was so yeah, it was so scary. But once I started hearing the impact that I was making, and people were like, what? Wow, thank you for sharing. It stirred something in me, and I started sharing my story more and more and more, and voicing out. And finally, I felt so empowered, and I ended up coming back to Dubai. I was not scared. I was like, because I felt that while I was there, I had done enough work and I'd done enough to protect myself and I'd seen the protection that I got. But I was like, you know what? It's been a couple of years. This guy has not come for me. He's threatened to come for me. He filed a missing persons report. It didn't work.
You're like,
Nothing
I'm
worked.
not missing. I'm actually found.
Exactly.
I found my damn self.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I ended up, with the help of the nonprofit, they helped me understand what my rights were and how to protect myself. And so I'd written to the consulate, to the embassy, like I'd written to a couple of different places. And I told them that, listen, I have left of my own accord. I am not missing. And eventually his dad ended up getting a hold of those documents, and he was so mad. He was like, do you know what this could do to my husband, to my son? And he would call me names, and at some point he was like, you know, you're end up telling my mom and dad your daughter is a prostitute. Like, he was just screaming things like he didn't know. I think he was in this state of disbelief that I had gone to such extent.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, you know what? He's scared.
He is.
He is
But
scared.
Anna, think of what you've just said. The fact that you, me, all of us we have to go to, like, my leaving story is insane. It's extreme. You had to go to extremer, but like all of our leaving scenarios are all extreme. Which that should be in and of itself enough to be like, why the fuck would this person do all of this if they were not scared and telling the truth?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And that's what it's so important. It's like, it's so unbelievable because it should be unbelievable. But like the extreme situation and circumstances that you had to go through just to get safe in these modern times, right? That's what's like a modern woman has to flee a country so she can be safe in her own home.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You can say that again.
What the fuck, bitches? What are we doing? Like, what the hell? Like, oh my God. This is why we have this show. This is why we talk about it. Because if that is one person, you know, then we're not safe. If one woman is having to flee a country or her home or hide out or choose between a shelter and a car, all because a shelter or a car is safer than her home.
Yeah.
we've got a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, sorry, I just went on a rant, y'all. It's Friday. I'm like fired up. Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? I know what you're doing now, but for our besties, what are you doing now?
Well, I am a coach. I founded Brave and Free. We're 120,000 beautiful individuals out there. And I keep advocating for domestic violence victims and survivors, of course. And I also do a lot of work with the Healing and CPTSD Community Hub because, of course, I eventually got diagnosed with CPTSD, and that, giving that name to the pain and what you're going through is so powerful, because then you realize that whatever you thought was wrong with you is not true. And it's what happened to you was what was wrong. And so now I get to serve there as well. And it's been so fulfilling to just be surrounded by survivors and to just utilize that pain. And, not everyone has to channel that pain into purpose.
Right.
Some people don't want to do it, and that's okay. There's no pressure to do that. But it worked for me. And I saw that, doing that and using that pain and helping other people in plain and simple words, it's helping me live. It's helping me move forward, because that pain is immense. The brokenness is immense. The trauma is immense. And it really, sometimes you need something so powerful to tell you, what, yeah, we can keep going.
I can't even talk. Thank you for being so well-spoken, because I can't even talk right now. I don't have any fucking tissues. I have a Ziploc bag. I'm like literally about to blow my nose with a fucking sandwich bag. What the fuck?
See, we love podcasts like this.
Like, things on my desk are Lego that I like fidget with because I have so much nervous energy. And I'm like, where are my fucking tissues? Anna, thank you again. I'm going to have you back. We're going to have to do something. I mean, you're far, but close.
Absolutely.
I want to I don't know. We'll figure out something to do together. And please do. Where can our besties find you?
They can find me on Instagram at I am brave and free. So that's pretty much where I live. And I can probably share a couple of other links as well with you if you'd like to add that in the show notes.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I have a couple of resources, some of which are free, and I'd love to share it with your audience as well. I have a workbook, some reclamation cards, a trauma checklist, like a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'll share it all with you. And
thank you. Again, I'm so incredibly proud of you, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing your story with us today on Bitch Sesh.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure, for sure. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Bitch is a Bad Word. Remember, there is no safety in staying silent. If you or your kiddos are in immediate danger, please use 911, crash on a friend's couch, do whatever you need to do to get yourself safe. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is there for you at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. Or you can reach them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at thehotline.org. Besties are standing by. It's completely anonymous. They've got your back. Please join us on our Patreon. We have an amazing group of baddies rebuilding their network, which rebuilds your net worth. There's free tiers, paid tiers, and real tiers, as I say, happening over on Patreon. It's patreon.com/bitch is a bad word. You can send me your texties from your XD. Slide them in my DMs at Bitch is a Bad Word Pod. You can reach us at TikTok and find us on YouTube at Bitch is a Bad Word. Our phone number is 331-BITCHES. Thank you so much for tuning in each week, sharing your stories, sharing your comments, reaching out, telling me that you love being part of the Bestie Gang. Please do like, share, and subscribe if this is a show that makes you feel heard and seen and safe and loved. I love you. I've got your back. Thanks for having mine. See you next Tuesday, besties. Bitches being bad.